from the city that never sleeps. 17 miles from Madison Square Garden, New York City. It's America at Night with Rich Valdez, America's favorite late-night talk program, featuring interesting guests from around the world and calls from across America. And now, here is your host, Rich Valdez.
Hi there, good evening, and what's up, America? I am Rich Valdez, Valdez with an S, at Rich Valdez on all of the social media. Welcome to the Monday night edition of the program. We're live and national. If you want to get at me, feel free. Here's the phone number, 833-482-5337, 833-4-Valdez. And as we've been discussing, you've probably heard it all night long in the last couple of hours, all sorts of crazy is going on. The New York City mayoral race is tomorrow. And we're going to be tapping in with a few people to talk about that tonight, to get some perspective from New Yorkers that are on the ground, somebody that's always in Manhattan, as well as somebody that's usually in Queens or in City Hall. They'll be weighing in just a little bit. Plus, we're going to talk about this genocide in not only Nigeria, but that's the most prominent one lately, but it's happening in Syria, it's happening in Egypt, it's happening in so many parts of the world against Christians, literally wiping out. And when I say genocide, I mean killing people so that they don't exist anymore, right? Because I know some people define genocide as like a war, but the people grow. This is a genocide where people get extinguished, where there's less of them tomorrow than there were today. And obviously that's not anything that we should support, tolerate, or anything like that. And President Trump weighed in on the weekend about this, and this was something I appreciated hearing from El Trompito. Cut number 5, go right ahead.
Everybody, how are you? You had a nice weekend?
We did.
Everyone
Thank you.
good?
How are you, Jim? Do you have travel
Good. I
sleep?
guess we're doing 60 minutes tonight, but I'm not sure we're going to be in the plane. We may be midstream. We'll see. But I think they did a good job. We'll let you know. We'll see how they cut it. So, do you have any questions?
Mr. President, on Nigeria, just wanted to ask you, do you envisage US boots on the ground or airstrips?
Could be. I mean, a lot of things I envisage. A lot of things. They're killing record numbers of Christians in Nigeria. And they have other countries very bad also. You know that part of the world very bad. They're killing the Christians and killing them in very large numbers. We're not going to allow that to happen.
That was, again, President Trump, and forgive me if you couldn't make out that audio. It was from the airplane and Air Force One, and there's that, airplane sound in the background. But he said, we're not going to tolerate it. They're killing the Nigerian Christians, and they're going to get to the bottom of it. And I have to say, I appreciate that. I appreciate having a president that steps up in this manner. I appreciate the fact that this country is doing what it's always done, right? Or at least what most people in the world expect it to be, which is, the country that steps in because we have the most wealth, we have the most military prowess, we have the ability to do the right thing and to intervene. And I oftentimes think, if you're, I don't know, 6'4", 6'5", you're just a big dude, or any dude, honestly, for that matter. You're walking down the street and you see a dude robbing an old lady, trying to pull a pocketbook off of her or something like that. And what are you going to do, look the other way? You're not going to do something? It's kind of like your job as a man to step in, right? Well, that's how I see the United States in many ways. Everybody says, oh, get out of the foreign wars, get out of this, get out of that. Sometimes you got to do the right thing, which is why I'm excited about this stuff with Venezuela. I've always been very hawkish when it comes to war. Call me a neocon, call me what you want. But there is a time where these things become necessary, in my opinion. Right now, we're bearing the brunt of all of the drugs that are coming in by way of Venezuela and Colombia and Mexico. And it's always easiest, right, to pursue the path of least resistance. And to me, that's Venezuela. Now, of course, they're calling on China. They're calling on Russia. They're calling on Iran and whomever else they can call to for help, saying, hey, help us out. These guys are coming. Their boats are here. What are we going to do? Ay, ay, ay. But ultimately, I don't think those guys are going to do anything because it wouldn't make sense for them. right? It always made sense for them to do it from afar when there was no beef, right? Like, oh, yeah, we'll help you. We'll give you military aid. We'll do this. We'll sell you some weapons. We'll do whatever. All that's all fine and dandy until, you're saying, I want to get in the ring with the U.S. And they're like, well, listen, you're on your own. It was nice. we were buying you boxing gloves before you were getting in the ring with the U.S., but now that you're actually in the ring, we're not actually, stupid. We're not going to go ahead and do that. But they did. I don't know if they did or didn't, right? I'm saying we're going to see what they do. And I don't think that that's going to happen. But again, we will see, and we'll get some analysis on that from former ambassador coming up in a little bit. But this is where we are. Lots of moving parts in the world. President Trump, El Trumpito, with his hands in everything, right? He's trying to do what he's doing right now with foreign policy to, in many ways, isolate China, to not necessarily isolate Russia, but to definitely isolate them financially, right? So that less and less people are buying their energy products. And again, this is a win for the United States every time he cuts a deal for energy, and B, weakening them economically, because there's this process of coming about to a peace deal eventually is going to be brought about through, like they say, death of 1,000 cuts. It's the only way. That's the only way I see it happening, right? Because Russia's powerful. Russia has wealth. They're committed, and they're ideological. So, all that being said, the president's, again, still focused on peace. The president is now talking about if we have to send people into Nigeria to stop the senseless killing that's going on there, we're going to do that as well. Kudos to El Trumpito. And then the big news of the afternoon, the president getting behind Andrew Cuomo. Now, again, seemingly he was kind of hinting towards that the whole time. And Elon Musk also weighing in and getting in for Andrew Cuomo. And the question I'll ask is this. If Curtis Sliwa is such a non-issue, such a bad candidate that can't win, why are so many people out there slandering him? Why are people just jumping up and down, all but setting themselves on fire to say, don't vote for Curtis, vote for the Democrat. Don't vote for the Republican, vote for the Democrat. And all I could say is, in real life, people don't attack by name, at least not in this business, unless they're threatened, right? Unless you have a poll that says this person is affecting you. When you know that this person is affecting you, now you attack them by name. Otherwise, you don't, because you don't want to give credence to them. You don't want to give an unnecessary rise to them. The momentum on the street for Curtis Sliwa is unmistakable. People love Curtis. People are coming out for Curtis. People love this city. Part of why I love being a conservative is because I'm able to have different points of view. You're able to have different points of view. We're all able to look at things differently and come under the big tent. That's never been something that Democrats really allowed. It was always lockstep. And people often credit them for that, for their groupthink. They usually say, you know what, this is a situation where, we should be like the Democrats because they're in lockstep. And to that I say, that's what every dictatorship has ever had, lockstep. People who don't break away, people who don't think independently. That's what liberty is about. So I'm happy to disagree with some conservatives, with fellow Republicans. They can think the way they want. It'd be nice if we had a little more unity. It'd be nice if many of the people that are being critical right now of the current Republican nominee stepped up when he was in the primary process. Right? Curtis ran unopposed. Where were all these people then? So, I say it could have been done better. It could have been done differently. But this is where we are now. Curtis is the nominee. He's got my support 100%. I'm not going anywhere. He's not backing down. And I get it. Sometimes things become territorial, right? I don't know if it's true or not, but I was on social media before and I said, Cuomo's a Queens guy. El Trompito, Donaldus Magnus, our president, he is a Queens guy. Maybe the Queens guys are sticking together on this, just like, my family's from Brooklyn originally. Curtis is from Brooklyn. We're backing up Curtis. I don't know if it's really that type of thing. I think ultimately this is a very political decision. I'm going to get into that with another Queens person, the councilwoman coming out of Queens, a Trump-supporting conservative councilwoman, Vickie Paladino, is coming up right now.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdez.
Rich Valdez, who again will do a fine job, and I know you'll enjoy listening to him.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdez.
I am the only real New Yorker in this race, born in New York. They try to kill me in New York. I'll die in New York. I'll be buried in New York. I'm the son of the soil. I'm just like so many New Yorkers. So I want everybody to vote. So important. Men have died in battle to preserve this right. Free speech and voting, which is part of this great country of us. And even if you don't vote for me, please come out and vote in honor of those men who gave up their lives so we could have these freedoms that too many of us don't take advantage of, or we abuse or misuse it. And remember, free speech is the antidote to hate speech. We need more free speech.
That, of course, Curtis Sliwa, the Republican candidate for mayor of the city of New York. He's been on this program a number of times. And one of his supporters, who's also in a race of her own right now, Councilwoman Vickie Paladino, who I remember she ran for office, and they said, she can't win. Oh, she can't. She was that lady. She was yelling at de Blasio. There's no way she can win. And guess what? She won. Not only did she win, now she wins by huge margins, big historical margins. Councilwoman Vickie Paladino, welcome back.
Hi, Rich. How are you?
I'm good. I've had better days, but, we're heading into Election Day. We're going to go out fighting.
Yep. Yes, exactly right. It's a big day tomorrow for the city of New York, and we're going to just see how far people are going to go. It's a real test. It's a real test for the people. Mm-hmm.
Vickie, just make sure you speak right into the mouthpiece of your phone, and if you get a little loud,
how's
there
that?
you go. Perfect.
Is that okay?
Beautiful. Yeah.
Okay.
I've never known you to be quiet. That's for sure. Now, Vickie, I want to remind you of a few things, at least things that I think of, and I think to myself, your race is one of them, right? I remember when you were running, and there were people saying, she doesn't have a shot. She doesn't have a shot. Blah blah blah. At the time, there was actually pretty similar, I'd say, right? There was the Republican Party in Queens was kind of fractured. And there were some of them that were in favor of one group of candidates, and then there were others, and there was, friction between these two factions. Yet here we are today with you winning by huge margins in Whitestone, Queens. And again, I remember this clear as day when people were telling me, I don't think she has a shot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's how it was. And it was a rough go. Make no mistake. The cards, everything was stacked against me, and I just refused to give up the fight, and I did not give up the fight, and I won my primary, and there you go, made me a legitimate candidate for 421's race for city council. I had a great campaign team. I was all about the people. I got out there. I fought like heck for people to get to know who I am, and I succeeded. So then again, when I won in 21, because of the redistricting, city council is 4 years term. When I won in 21, me and 31 other council members, our first 4 years was split into two. So I ran in 21, and then I ran in 23. I won in 21 with a real fight. It was tough against my own party at times. And I came through with flying colors. I took it. And then in 23, I succeeded again because in 22, when you're sworn in, I made sure I worked my tail off and I won. What's going on with Curtis right now is really rough. This is really, really, really rough. I've never seen, Rich, anything quite like this. We've got
me neither.
we've got a terrorist running. We have
Yep.
a terrorist running, certifiable terrorist, and of course we know he's a socialist. And I have to say this, I blame the Democrats a lot.
Oh, when you said terrorist, I thought you were talking about the former governor that has a trail of bodies, about 15,000 senior citizens.
Yeah,
you meant the other
we
guy.
could talk about that. Yes, of course. Now for Cuomo to come out and lose the Democratic primary to a Democratic socialist, a plain as day socialist, not a true Democrat. He lost, and he lost big. And now he comes back on the independent line, and it's rather shocking to see and to hear fellow Republicans jump ship and give up on Curtis Sliwa.
Mm-hmm.
And when in my district here, which is District 19, we have a great many people who are all in for Curtis. There's no question about it, because they know that he will deliver the real change that the city needs. Everybody understands Cuomo, who he is, what he stood for. I'm not going back to his sexual cases or anything like that.
I barely touched those.
COVID.
It was really his
I don't
governance
touch
that bothered me.
Yeah. It's the way he was governor and what he did to us in 2020 and the way he shut us down. And he and de Blasio worked together to kill small business,
Yep.
To kill the elderly by putting them in nursing homes. We could touch on bail reform, but let's stay city-oriented.
Well,
And
I think bail reform is important only because while it was a statewide law, it shows where his head is at, right? He introduced the no cash bail system to the state of New York. You know what else he introduced, Vicki? I know you know this. He introduced the sanctuary state law in 2017.
Right. Yep,
So when people complain about
100%.
immigration, Andrew Cuomo. When people complain about crime, Andrew Cuomo.
See, this is what I don't get. I do not get the logic behind how is he all of a sudden in the last month, how did he become the knight in shining armor? How did this happen?
He's got friends in high places.
I guess, but still, even then, you have a legitimate candidate in Curtis Sliwa, a Republican candidate in Curtis Sliwa. And, this is, to me, it's shocking that Andrew Cuomo has got the support that he's getting from the very people who despised him in 5 years. How did this happen, Rich? I don't understand it.
I'll tell you, I think some people lose or abandon their principles when they're faced with fear, with demagoguery.
That's true.
When you start saying, this guy, but I got to be honest, and I'll take a lot of heat for this. I've only heard that Zoran Mamdani is a bad guy because of what he's told me. But I know that Andrew Cuomo's a bad guy because of what he's showed me. Vicki, stand by. We're coming right back. Amigos, we're coming right back with New York City Councilwoman Vickie Paladino. She's a conservative. She's out of New York City, Queens, New York. She supported Trump. They said she couldn't win because she allied herself with Trump. She won with flying colors, and now she's supporting Curtis Sliwa. Don't go anywhere, folks. We're coming right back.
The best guests, the best opinions. This is America at Night with Rich Valdez.
Jimmy, Andrew Cuomo is Pinocchio.
Yes.
He's in Italian what we call a cacchiarone. He lies, the nose gets bigger, and he's got a big schnoz.
Okay.
But Zoran Mamdani, he's very affable. It's like that song, remember Sade, 1984, Smooth Operator?
Yeah.
I always think of Barack Obama, the prince of the smooth operators.
Yeah.
And on the JV, it's Zoran Mamdani.
Amen.
So when he lies, his nose doesn't get bigger. His smile gets larger. That's how you know he's lying. But this is politician.
That's Curtis Sliwa doing what he does on with Jimmy Fallon on Fox News radio or on Fox News channel, excuse me. And Curtis, again, affable as always, but just as affable as he is on television and entertaining, he is just as polished and boned up on policy, which I think oftentimes he may not get the credit for, but I think he dominated in the debates and gave people a chance to see that. And since those two debates that I think he clearly won hands down, we've seen a lot of momentum picking up in the streets for Curtis Sliwa. Vickie Paladino, your thoughts?
I agree. I think he did terrific on that second debate. Look, these debates that he took place that happened, they were stacked against him. There's no question about it. They are treating Curtis as a second-class citizen. We don't see him being recognized in the newspapers the way he should be. Curtis is paving his own way. He has really, really laid the groundwork for what New York will look like if he were to be mayor. He is the only one that will deliver the change that this city needs. And he's made it abundantly clear. A lot of people say he goes to safe places like District 19, my district. Baloney. He has been everywhere.
Vickie, I was with Curtis in Brownsville, Brooklyn, the day he opened that place.
Yep.
And I was like, man, hold on, let me get my bulletproof vest to get out the car.
Sure.
But there was nothing but love in the streets for Curtis.
Yeah, people honking horns, people happy to see him. So you know what? These are excuses people are using. I can't figure it out, Rich. Tomorrow night, I don't know what to expect. I really don't. I don't know what kind of numbers. I don't trust the polls. Mondani Zoran is going to do a lot worse than what Zoran in his brain or lack thereof is these visions of the grandeur that he has set for himself and his followers that don't even live here. Everybody understands this, that Zoran's followers and these people that are backing Zoran, these young people, they are going to school here in New York. These are the people he registered to vote in this upcoming election. These are your new voters. But you know what? After they vote in June, they're going to go back home to Ohio. They're going to go back to Wisconsin. They're going to go back to Maryland. They're going to go back to every other state while they leave a bloodbath here, a trail of blood here. These people who are coming out for Curtis are tried and true, born and raised New Yorkers. The ones you see going against Cuomo lived through 5 years of the hell that he put us through as the czar of COVID. Okay? He crowned himself emperor. Everybody forgets that April day when you woke up in 2020 and he became the grand emperor and he decided to tell us how we were going to live and how we were going to shop and where we were going to eat dinner, only to find out now all of that was for naught. It wasn't even real. The vaccine, the first responders that got fired, these are all people that Curtis is appealing to. Why is that? Because Curtis is promising to work hard to get them their jobs back. Curtis is working towards the middle class that are getting hit with Local Law 97 that is going to bankrupt all our co-op
He's the
and
only
condo
one
owners.
that has a plan for Local
He
Law
has
97.
a plan. Correct. When you ask Cuomo about any of this, crickets. He cannot answer that. What are you going to do? How are you going to help the middle class here? I've got middle class homeowners, co-op and condo owners that they have watched, senior citizens have watched their apartments maintenances go from $1,300 a month to $1,800 a month, and they're not done. Curtis has a plan to go after Local Law 97. That's all the green stuff that everybody's talking about, converting to electricity. The grid in New York cannot handle it. I've got 2 pieces of legislation in, and I keep renewing the legislation. I spoke to Curtis about that legislation. My people in the city council won't even hear that legislation. So Curtis has got a plan to hire back more cops. He's the guy you're going to be able to trust. You know what? Leave the Red Beret alone because they're picking on the most ridiculous stuff ever. You and I talked about this, I think, a month and a half ago when I was on the show.
Yeah.
And we went after this, and we hit on these same targets. But now, in that time, though, Cuomo was just a blip on the screen. Now Cuomo, all of a sudden, is the guy. Well, when you can't answer questions that need to be answered, aside from saying he's going to hire back 5,000, he's going to hire, not back, sorry, he's going to hire 5,000 more officers. Are you really? Well, you tell me, you show me how you're going to hire back 5,000 more officers when their qualified immunity has been taken away from them. Okay? Everything they have done in my city council has been to tear our police department apart. Curtis is the only guy standing up for anybody who wears the uniform, whether it be a fireman's uniform, a cop's uniform, a correction officer's uniform. I have COBA backing me. I've got the Sergeant's Benevolence behind me. I got the police unions behind, every law enforcement union behind me. Why is that? Because when I go into City Hall, I'm not on these committees, but I make sure I show up so I get my piece and I get my say. Curtis would be that mayor for the people, and we're not seeing that. It's going to be a very curious night tomorrow night because between the two of them, Cuomo and Sliwa, Cuomo should have backed off as the independent. He should have allowed Sliwa to go up against Mondani and then let the cards fall where they may. Curtis raised a lot of money. He wasn't gifted money. People gave him the money, the $50, $70, the $20, the $10. Okay? Those are the people that push that train forward. Those are the people who push that train. Not the billionaires like he talks about and the millionaires that you're going to be indebted to. No. It's really nice because the president, too, Trump, he's aware of the people. He appealed to the people. The average donation being $50, $70, $100. Those are the same people that are backing Curtis Sliwa. So you know what? Tomorrow night, the TV will be on here. I hope I will be celebrating a victory. But you know what? It's going to be a very sad night tomorrow night if this city is turned over to the likes of Zoran Mondani, okay? If this city's turned over to Zoran, we are going to see change here like we've never seen before, and it's going to go fast. So don't let people say, what could he do in 4 years? He can't do much. Baloney. With a city council like I sit in. Yeah, exactly. Let me tell you. The city council I sit in, Eric Adams. The city council I sit in, Rich, this is really important. 51 members. 51 members, 18 of them make up the Progressive Caucus, the largest caucus in the city council. That's 1/3. 1/3. They can and will see to it that whatever this SOB wants, he's going to get. They hated Eric Adams because every time Eric tried to move to the middle, they shot him down. And I'm telling you, it's going to be a dark, I said it ages ago. There's been a dark cloud hanging over this city for the last 6 months, 8 months. And the dark cloud is the DSA. My candidate, my opponent that's running against me, he is connected to Zoran. Who is he voting for mayor? He's voting for Zoran. All his little minions that he's got hanging out at the polling places. Disrespectful, nasty little brats. And that's what Zoran's going to bring into City Hall. So you're going to go for Zoran or Cuomo over Sliwa? Come on, everybody. Give me a break. Wake up. Wake up and realize the only guy fit to be mayor of the city of New York is Curtis Sliwa. And I'm going against my own council member, Ina Vernikoff from Brooklyn, who swore her
allegiance. Is she
allegiance.
the only Republican that jumped ship?
Of that I know of in my immediate
all the rest
circle,
of the Republican council I know are with Curtis.
Firmly behind Curtis. Yes, I believe so. You know, and we have to see. I mean, this whole this fear tactic that they used is blowing my mind. I don't understand this. Why are people taking a knee to the fear factor? You know what? The Democratic Party Hakeem Jeffries, all the rest of them that have taken a knee, they should have stood up for themselves and said, you know what? You're not a Democrat. You are a DSA candidate. You should be running on the DSA line. They should. How did this happen? How did this happen?
Bernie Sanders paved the way for this, and they allowed it.
That's right. And Bernie Sanders, who keeps cursing millionaires and billionaires, you know what his worth is? $600 million. That's what Bernie Sanders is worth. Okay? Or somewhere around that. No, not at all. Oh, I'm being told no, not. What is it? 6 billion? Million. Oh, he's worth 6 million. Sorry, I just got corrected. So, in any case, all these multimillionaires that these people are cursing. Zoran's mother, okay? Big film producer for Disney. Stop. Get off of that. Nobody wants to hear about it. Who's paving the way in New York City? Okay? When we lose our millionaires and billionaires, guess what? The bottom drops out of our economy.
Yeah.
Period.
Vickie, you know, I just wanted to give you a point and get your reaction to it. A lot of people think, look, this is the lesser of two evils. If I go with Cuomo, I don't like him, but I hold my nose and I vote because the other guy can't win, which is a lie, right? The last poll I saw, at least on Friday, had Cuomo and Sliwa 4 points away from each other. So that's that. Now, the other part of this is, I mean, if Cuomo can't win, then Sliwa can't win, right? If Sliwa can't win, then Cuomo can't win, if they're the same by that logic. No, number two is this. I believe that Cuomo is a worse option. And the reason I think he's worse is because this is a man that has spent the last decade as governor wreaking havoc. And he has a career before that working for Clinton and doing all the rest of what he's done. He can go in there and cause the damage that he has caused in the past very quickly. Whereas Zoran Mamdani actually has a learning curve. He's got to learn how to do this job. And not that I'm, endorsing Zoran Mamdani.
No, I understand.
I'm just saying.
I know what you're saying.
I don't believe that Zoran is the worst of these two evils. People say, oh, but New York City's going to become a London. I've been seeing videos for the past 9 or 10 months of open air mosques being held in Times Square. That's happening under Eric Adams. That's happening under the Democrats. That happened under Cuomo, who made New York City a sanctuary state. So the guy who literally destroyed New York State, no cash bail, let the criminals in, coddling the criminals, pro-crime progressive. This is the guy that created Zoran Mamdani. And Sliwa put it best. He said, you've got the architect and the apprentice.
Yeah, that was great. When he said that was terrific.
I'd rather go against the apprentice. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because the architect knows where the bodies are buried and he knows how to do more damage. Vickie, I'm out of time on the segment here. Let everybody know how they can support you and give us your final words.
My final words is this. If you have not yet voted, a vote for Sliwa is a vote that's going to matter. Okay? Don't let people scare you. Don't ever let people scare you. Vote with your conscience. Vote with your heart. Vote with your gut. Get out there. The most important thing, Curtis said it best in your opening before I got on, when he said, just please go out and vote. He actually said, even if you don't vote for me, please just go out and vote.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to say to the people. Please, whether you're voting for me or you're not, just exercise your right, please, and go out and vote.
Don't stay home. Yeah.
Do not stay home.
Councilwoman, District 19. God bless you. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Keep the fire going, and we'll do it again soon. I'll see you tomorrow.
See you soon, Rich. Thank you, darling.
God bless.
Bye-bye.
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 Amigos, coming right back.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdez. Call now, 833-4-VALDEZ. That's 833-482-5337. 833-4-VALDEZ. That's Valdez with an S. Call now, 833-4-VALDEZ. That's 833-482-5337. 833-4-VALDEZ. That's Valdez with an S.
All right, amigos, welcome back to the phones we go. Open Phone America. Here we go. Let's go to Atlanta, Georgia, WGKA. Steve, go right ahead, Steve.
Thanks for taking my call, Mr. Valdez.
Yes, sir.
So this is my thing, my prediction. What's going on? What I think is going to happen. I think the polls are all wrong, and that Sliwa is going to end up, even though the polls say he's down by 20 points, 30 points, Sliwa's going to end up after tomorrow with a 1.5 point deficiency. All right, and he's going to lose. But that tells us that.
Right. No, listen, I think that I hope that's not the case, but with the amount of pressure that we're seeing against the guy that they say can't win, it would not come as a shock to me to see Curtis lose by very little because of all this, I don't want to say interference because that's everybody's right and it has a bad connotation. But if we would have all gotten behind them, things would look a lot better. And the fact that we're getting behind Mr. It's okay to have an abortion after 9 months, Cuomo, right? Commissar Cuomo, that is just ridiculous to me. But I respect everybody who wants to go in that direction. Do what you got to do. I get it. It's politics. It's about power at the end of the day. That is the game we're in. And there's no two ways about that. Steve in Atlanta, thanks, brother. I appreciate the call. WGKA in the building. Let's go to New York. WGDJ, Jane, Saratoga. Go right ahead.
Hey, Rich. Okay, first of all, I love Vickie Paladino. She is such a pistol. First of all, okay, Curtis Sliwa. He is New York through and through. I spoke to people all day today. I brought it up. He thinks with his heart. He thinks with his gut. And Cuomo is a dirtbag. We all know that. Mm-hmm. And Curtis Sliwa, he is an incredible guy. And I think the people I spoke with today, I would ask their opinions. They said, oh, my God, Curtis, yes, we want him for sure. I said, well, go and vote tomorrow and make sure you speak up. And I honestly believe he's going to be okay. I just think people have...
Well, amen to that. I appreciate that, Jane. I got to take a pause right here, but we're going to come right back and continue with your calls, 833-482-5337. And, Jane, I think you're right. I do think he's going to outperform whatever the expectation is. I think we're gonna see better than that. If it's an honest election, which I'm hoping and praying it is. Don't go anywhere.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdez.
All right, amigos, welcome back. Rich Valdez, keeping you company this evening, talking about the big New York City election tomorrow with a record amount of votes already in. Literally record. I think 735,000 votes were cast during early voting. We've never seen that before. Mayor Giuliani joining a rally for Curtis Sliwa, Vickie Paladino. Almost, I think, every single member of the New York City Council, that's a Republican, backing up Curtis Sliwa. We're going to continue the conversation on what's going on with the killing of Christians all across the world, in particular in Nigeria, and then more on the news of the day. You know, the phone number 833-482-5337, 833-4-Valdez. So keep it locked right here. We continue. And if you're in a part of the country where the show ends here, stream it at richvaldez.com. We're doing it live, and we're national, and I'm happy to be here with you.
Live from the city that never sleeps. 17 miles from Madison Square Garden, New York City. It's America at Night with Rich Valdez, America's favorite late night talk program, featuring interesting guests from around the world and calls from across America. And now, here is your host, Rich Valdez.
Hi there, good evening, and what's up, America? I am Rich Valdez, Valdez with an S, at Rich Valdez on all of the social media. Welcome to the Monday night edition of the program. We're back for another hour. You know the phone number, 833-482-5337, 833-4-Valdez. And we're going to talk about the slaughter of Nigerian Christians this hour. I'm going to be doing a lot of phone calls with you guys because I know a lot of people have been already on hold waiting to weigh in on this topic of the genocide against Christians. And of course, President Trump, my favorite president, weighing in on this over the weekend in no uncertain terms. And I think that's what needs to be done, right? We need to take a position of leadership on this issue, which the president has done, because it's been going unnoticed. And sadly, we can criticize the media for not paying attention to issues of particular import. However, it doesn't change the damage that's being done by their non-coverage. But it kind of allows things to continue, right? Which is why it's so important for us to talk about these things and make our presence and thoughts known on this issue. So that's a big deal, and I'm looking forward to the conversation on that. I also want to talk about a little bit of what's going on. Obviously, this is the eve of the election in New York City. And America's mayor, Rudy Giuliani, weighed in with his listeners earlier today. Mr. Good, do we have a clip of the mayor? Is that a yes? Yes, okay. So I want you to hear what America's mayor, Rudy Giuliani, had to say just a little while ago. Listen to this.
Well, thank you very much for supporting my close friend for many, many years, Curtis Sliwa, and a man who is eminently well prepared to be mayor of New York City. Curtis has run a worldwide organization of great distinction and run it well as is versed in everything from the top to the bottom about New York City. And as a man of courage and principle, he is exactly what New York City needs right now to lead us in the direction of the kind of city that we want to be. An open city, a free city. If anyone is considering Andrew Cuomo, please remember that most of the laws that have led to all of the crime in New York were passed by Andrew Cuomo when he caved in to the ridiculously insane left wing of his party. That's the reason why there are now 48 or 49 cop killers walking the streets of New York without early parole. That's due to Cuomo. That's the reason why there are anywhere between 5,000 and 7,000 people walking the streets of New York, serious criminals, who I can guarantee you would be in jail if I were the mayor or even Bloomberg. You're not supposed to vote for someone in high office you've got to hold your nose about. They can go in there and they don't have to hold their nose and they can vote for Curtis. And then we can have a mayor, so we don't have to walk around New York City holding our nose.
That is America's mayor, Rudy Giuliani. Again, in my opinion, the best mayor that New York City's ever had. And I think he's right. You want to be proud of who you cast your vote for. You don't want to pick the lesser of two poisons. You pick the guy that you vote your conscience. That's what we do in every election, right? We've never used this litmus test before of, but so-and-so can't win. Just imagine, right? Really. Imagine if we did that in every race. Imagine if they threw in a spoiler candidate, a crazy lefty commie in every race. You can get Democrats elected all across the country by Republicans. It's an insanity to me. But I'm happy to see that America's mayor coming in strong, Sean Hannity coming in strong for Curtis Sliwa, Mark Levin coming in strong for Curtis Sliwa. The Republican conference chair in Congress, Elise Stefanik, probably the next governor of New York State, she's also coming in strong for Curtis Sliwa. And Zohran Mamdani, he's pledging to strengthen the sanctuary city laws that New York City has. And I just want to remind everyone, New York City had no sanctuary city laws before 2017. And that was when Andrew Cuomo made New York City a sanctuary state. Andrew Cuomo also signed as governor the no cash bail law, right? He introduced that. So when you look at the eruption of crime throughout New York State, the eruption of illegal aliens and the non-cooperation with ICE, this is what's happening there. And if you want to take a look at Eric Adams, the current mayor, or even the former governor, when people talk about, having open air mosques in Times Square, which again I think is a First Amendment right. I understand the implication, but all of that happened under the Democrats' watch, under Cuomo's watch, under Eric Adams' watch. So I think Mayor Giuliani's right. You want to vote for a candidate that you don't have to hold your nose. You hold your head up high, be proud, vote for the actual Republican if you want to vote for a Republican. How's that for a novel idea? I love that. Now, speaking of, people practicing their faiths and whatnot, there are Muslims, radical Islamists, I'm going to say, in Syria, in Nigeria, in Egypt, that are off the charts killing Christians. And this is an ongoing problem that has been so underreported that it's finally on the radar. And I have to give credit to President Trump because, they always say that the president, any POTUS, commands the bully pulpit. But I have to say, if there's somebody with a PhD in commanding the bully pulpit, it's Donaldus Magnus El Trompito, the 45th and 47th president of these United States. Nobody is better at managing the media than President Trump. And he is using his, I guess we're going to call it the soft power, right? Not the hard power of the office, but the soft power of the influence that comes with the office. And really part of who he is, because he's such a mega brand himself, to bring attention to matters that matter, right? To issues that truly matter. And this is one that I think can't go understated. Sadly, Christians have been, marginalized. It's almost like the default. Oh well, they always kill Christians. If they were killing so and so, then that's a story. And because it's the default, I think we don't hear about it as much as we ought to. But this has been going on for a long time, and I remember visiting a synagogue, believe it or not, a Messianic synagogue, Pastor Jonathan Kahn, some years ago, and he had a guest speaker, a pastor from India. And this man's home had been burned down, with his wife and his children in it. And he had escaped a car bomb a week earlier, and they got his family. And this man told this harrowing story of how he was, trying to become erased and to make his whole family line extinct. And he told it with confidence. He told it with peace. And towards the end, he had a smile. And he said that he was smiling because his assurance lied in the promises of Jesus. And it was really impactful to hear someone tell a story like that. It was almost like a real-life Job story, like the book of Job from the Bible. So I want to talk about this genocide against Christians because this is a very big deal. And President Trump discussing it on 60 Minutes last night as well. And, of course, your thoughts. And I want to do it with somebody who understands diplomacy, somebody who understands geopolitics differently than you and I do, because she's been there front and center. Ambassador Carla Sands is coming up next. Don't go anywhere.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdez.
Thanks for what you do. You have so many people. You ask the questions that if the viewer had a microphone, they would ask that question, and you seem to always ask it right at the right time. So God bless you, my friend.
America at Night with Rich Valdez.
It seems very impulsive and emotional. He possibly saw something on TV. It is very strange. The Nigerian situation is exactly as you said, Sarah, very complicated. A lot of the violence people have heard about in Nigeria, Boko Haram, that terror group that took those school children we all remember, that was mostly Muslim on Muslim violence. Those are jihadi groups often taking, killing Muslims, not in all cases, but in many of them. There is Muslim Christian violence, as you say. Some of it is based on farmers versus goat herders. The current president, Tinubu, has actually been trying his best to diffuse that kind of violence, and is himself an exemplary example of Nigeria's kind of multi-religious tradition. He is Muslim, the president of Nigeria. He's married to a Christian woman who is an ordained minister. And he often talks about how that marriage is part of what he's trying to do. Nigeria is 50% Christian, 50% Muslim. So it's an odd place for President Trump to interject himself, particularly militarily. I suspect, like many of President Trump's, emotional outbursts that will not actually lead to military action, that could set off a kind of tinderbox in Nigeria. But we just have to wait and see. With President Trump, it's often you're trying to mind read this one man.
That is Fareed Zakaria on CNN. He's a host on CNN. And isn't that interesting, right? A CNN TV host saying that this is, again, we're blowing it out of proportion, right? It's President Trump having an emotional outburst. This is not about Christians that are dying. This is, he used the words, this president is an exemplary example. Okay, good job, Fareed. And because he's such an exemplary example, he's a Muslim married to a Christian woman because this is what represents their population. I got to tell you, this is exactly why President Trump is calling attention to these problems. And well before he did, these problems have existed. He's putting a microscope on it because all too often, those in the media, like Fareed Zakaria, try to brush this under the rug and then try to make it out to saying that this is just going to be a paper tiger action. And I think Venezuela and the 39 dead drug dealers would beg to differ. But hey, what do I know? I want to bring in one of the pros here. Our guest is former Ambassador Carla Sands. She is with the America First Policy Institute now. And she is the senior fellow for energy policy, and she is our guest, and she's live. Ambassador, welcome back.
Thanks. Nice to be with you, Rich. Thanks for welcoming me.
Oh, my pleasure. And forgive the long introduction, but I had to beat up Fareed Zakaria a little bit because I think that stuff is kind of ridiculous, and I don't need you to get political. I can do that on my own. But what are your thoughts when you hear something like that?
I can barely take it. I don't listen to Fareed Zakaria because listening to that would make me, I think, insane. He's gaslighting people. He's an apologist, clearly, for this slaughter of these Christians by these Muslim terrorists.
He sounds like the PR person for Boko Haram.
He does. It's pretty shocking. Shame on him. Shame on Fareed.
Yeah. So now, from your perspective, obviously, you've done a lot of work in diplomacy and continue to lend your expertise in that area. This is something that I feel is, I guess I'm going to use the term, coming to a head. Right? It's been happening for a long time. It seems to be amplified now, I think, because of the activity that went on in the war, the slaughter, the genocide against the Jews that occurred in Israel. And as that's winding down, I think, people are looking for the next thing to report on. And now we're hearing a little bit about what's happening with this Christian genocide. And those numbers seem to be ratcheting up with, I think, 7,000 per month or some other insane number being what I keep hearing out there. What are you hearing?
I'm reading the reports. I'm seeing photos that are just so awful. It's unspeakable what human beings can do to other human beings. It's twisted. And there's also the murder of Christians happening in Ethiopia. It's not only Nigeria, but Nigeria is the worst. But President Trump is taking a strong stand and saying they have to stop it. You can see how he is working around the world, even in South Africa, where you have the massacre of the white farmers by these radicalized, politicized groups. He's protecting the weak who can't stand up for themselves, who are being oppressed. And it's remarkable. It makes me proud. It makes Nicki Minaj proud, which was really fun to see.
Yeah, I saw that over the weekend. The rapper Nicki Minaj putting out a tweet saying she's proud of the president. She's proud to be an American, proud to see that America is doing what it's supposed to do. And that's kind of how I started the show a little while ago, saying the same thing. I think there is an expectation, not just in the international community, because I think they come second to everything else, but to me, as an American, I think my country should be the one that defends these types of injustices if no one else can.
Yes, Nicki Minaj thanked President Trump. She thanked him. And that is something, he doesn't get enough appreciation and thanks from the American people or people around the world for what he's doing. Everything he's doing is for the betterment of us, but it also benefits the rest of the globe. It's really so encouraging to see him take a principled stand and say, he really said to them, we're going to stop the aid and assistance to Nigeria if the government continues to allow Christians to be slaughtered. That's pretty clear. And then he told his Department of War to prepare for possible action. That's pretty clear.
And not only is it clear, but I think it's also responsible, right? It's not like he's saying, hey, look, you guys are selling counterfeit bags and I'm going to have to put sanctions on you. And it's not that kind of problem, right? You have a problem where people are being killed. So I think it's appropriate for him to say, hey, look, you're using force. We're going to use force too.
Yes. And in some cases, they take the children and they indoctrinate them into their own belief. They rape the little girls and force them to convert. They do terrible things to the bodies, and it's so inhumane. It's unbelievable that human beings could do this to other human beings. In fact, President Trump, in one of his social media posts, called them his cherished Christians and said the Nigerian government better move fast. If he's not going to put up with it or tolerate this slaughter, this genocide against the Nigerian Christians, these poor pastors and the poor victims, they're asking for the West to help. They're like, where is the Christian community? Where is the Christian community? Well, President Trump says, here we are. That's a godly move. I think it is so beautiful that he's doing this and that he's going to protect these Christians and he's going to force the Nigerian government to stop allowing it. Because what happens is if Nigeria falls and then we have West Africa follow because of all of these rising Muslim terrorist groups that are now going throughout Africa, we have a continent then that could really create a global nightmare of unprecedented proportions. So he's doing the right thing. He must stop.
And Fareed Zakaria mentioned this is a powder keg or a tinderbox. I agree with the assessment that it is, but not in the context that he referenced it. I think it's what you're talking about. If we don't do anything, this is going to get out of hand. So I want to continue our conversation with Ambassador Carla Sands when we return. Again, the phone number, if you want to join us, 833-482-5337, 833-4-VALDEZ. We're live. We're national. Rich Valdez coming back with Ambassador Carla Sands.
Well, thank you, Rich, and thank you for everything. I know you very well, and I listen, but I have a lot of people that listen, and they love your show, and I appreciate it very much.
America at Night with Rich Valdez.
President Trump is ratcheting up the pressure on Nigeria. Islamic terrorists there have been murdering Christians as well as fellow Muslims for years. The president is threatening not just to pull aid from that West African country unless it stops, but also send in the military, as he put it, guns a-blazing.
Guns a-blazing. President Trump pulling no punches there. Again, we're on with Ambassador Carla Sands from the America First Policy Institute. And Madam Ambassador, Your Excellency, I want you to weigh in here because this is, again, from my perspective, a huge issue and one that I can't remember anybody touching, but for maybe a couple of congressmen like Randy Fine, Andy Ogles, and Senator Ted Cruz who've put, proposed legislation. But prior to that, largely, I think the international community, I won't say silent, but very, very quiet.
It's been appalling how quiet, especially the Christians around the world, all these Christian countries in the West. And really, President Trump is the first world leader that has spoken up and said, not on my watch. You're not continuing this. In fact, President Trump has designated Nigeria a special country of particular concern. And all kinds of bad things can happen when you're designated a country like that. And, the clip you just played said, he's threatening to cut off aid and assistance. And he's also designated, President Trump has designated, he's asked Representative Riley Moore from West Virginia and Tom Cole from Oklahoma to investigate, look into this matter and then report back to him. So he'll have a good report on the situation. And I'm sure they're working very fast to get this done. I don't think there's a lot of business happening right now in the House. So this will be something that President Trump, working with Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Secretary of War Hegseth, they'll be looking at this and probably moving pretty quickly if they don't see a big change. I've seen the videos of just the pastors just crying in their church where their congregation has been slaughtered right in the church. They'll just come in and then they set the church on fire. It's hard to think in 2025, we think we're all so modern that this kind of Stone Age behavior is happening.
Yeah, it's really barbaric. Now, Ambassador, I want to get your take on some of the other foreign policy victories that President Trump, Secretary Rubio, and the team have really been ratcheting up. I think we still see a large level of sustained peace despite skirmishes in Israel with Hamas. At least last I checked, I might have missed something because things are volatile there. But for the most part, a big win, I think. I think the president continues to try to isolate China to the benefit of the United States. And he's also economically trying to isolate Russia so that they're doing less business and he can kind of put an end to their conflict. Talk to me about any one of those, because I mean, there's so many issues where President Trump is involved.
Oh, yeah. President Trump just announced when he was in Asia, this unbelievable trip he just had a few days ago.
That's right.
That he had helped to negotiate a peace between Cambodia and Thailand. There was a war between these two Asian countries, and he negotiated a peace deal. Let's not forget, he's got all of this trillions of dollars from countries around the world and companies around the world that because of the tariffs he's put in place, they're investing in the United States to help reindustrialize our country. His goal is to bring us back to being a manufacturing superpower like we were when I was a young woman. We were. That was the number one employer in most counties in America was manufacturing. Today, most counties, it's healthcare, and healthcare is government funded. It's taxpayer dollar funded. That's not a good transition to go from manufacturing powerhouse to a healthcare powerhouse. It also means the population must be pretty ill.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, to be frank, I don't think it's going anywhere, but I agree with you. I have a couple of friends in healthcare, and they went in for that reason. They looked years ago, and they said, what's going to be the big thing in 20 years? It was healthcare, and they weren't wrong. And here we are, but everybody else is paying the price because I think we're creating a several generations at this point of college-educated people that aren't as equipped as years past, and we have a lot less blue-collar workers. We have way more immigrant affordable labor than we used to have. So we have, it's kind of a multi-front problem that I think the only person that's had the courage to try to fix it has been President Trump. And it's just not an easy solution, right? You have to do what he's doing. You got to globe trot around the world, cut deals left and right, sometimes with people you may not like, and make concessions you may not like either. But you have to do those things in order to move forward. At least that's how I see it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think the MAHA movement led by Secretary Kennedy and all of those moms that want their kids to be healthy and have healthy food, healthy school lunches, and have a good life with health and not with chronic sickness. I think that's a beautiful thing. That was one of the big surprises for me with President Trump's election, that literally it's happening, that food is getting healthier and that medicine is going to be serving the people and not making the people ill. That's really exciting.
Yeah, I agree with that. And Ambassador, I'd be remiss if I didn't, give an ode, a hat tip to my predecessors, Jim Bohannon and the late, great Larry King, who would often ask questions like, a nice girl from Pennsylvania like you, how'd you end up becoming an ambassador, right? By way of real estate finance and other things you've done. What was that journey like? What prompted it?
Well, Rich, thank you for asking me that. And I just have to say, I knew Larry King, and he was a fine man. He was a good friend of myself and my late husband in Los Angeles.
Of a broadcaster.
And a heck of a broadcaster. But how I ended up, it's really amazing. You know, every young person should have dreams and dream big. And I wanted to be an ambassador when I was a young woman. But I come from a small town. I didn't know you go to the Foreign Service and you take the test and then you become a Foreign Service officer and you become an American diplomat. I didn't know. Nobody told me about this. And
Right.
so, President Trump appointed me to be an ambassador. And that was the thrill of my life, to serve him in our great country. It's extraordinary to serve all of the American people and have the power of the federal government there to help you execute your mission, which for me was to make our country more secure, to bring jobs home to the United States, and to build bridges with our friends in Denmark and Greenland and in the Faroe Islands.
You know, you make it sound so nice and so fluffy. But is it always nice and fluffy, or sometimes you have to talk turkey and get really into the nitty gritty?
Are you talking about as an ambassador?
Yeah.
It was not easy or fluffy at all. It was the hardest thing I ever did in my life.
It sounds it. I can't
yeah,
imagine
Europeans
getting
don't
people
like
to agree
they don't
to
like
things.
Trump. Yeah, they don't like Trump. They don't like Republicans. So I was in, I love the Danes. They're wonderful people, but it was a very hostile environment, and we had problems we had to solve. Then you have talks that are friend to friend because they're an ally, but when there's problems, you have to talk them out and talk turkey, if you will, since we're coming up on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I can only imagine that it's that type of thing, and from the others that I've interviewed and others that work in diplomacy, it seems like a little bit more difficult than, let's say, being president, right? I think as president, you have a little bit of a license to be a politician, right? To talk some smack if you need to, especially if you're a politician like Trump.
Okay, Rich. Here I have to absolutely disagree with you. I don't think there's a harder job in the world than being the United States president. He has the entire globe that he is looking at, and he's responsible for every single American and the United States and every territory. He looks at this and he wants to secure certainly our region, the Western Hemisphere, which is not in a good place. And yes, he has people to help him execute that. But when I look at this man now, I just talked to him about 2 days ago, and he all I could do was thank him for what he's doing. He is so laser focused. He's like a different person than in the first term. He understands his mission, and he is fully focused on his mission. It doesn't mean he doesn't love to go out and have a golf game, but I promise you he's working during that golf game, and he's, you know what I mean? He's thinking, and he's also probably talking to people that are going to help him execute his next mission. I have never seen anyone so active, need so little sleep, and be so productive. Every single minute of his day is it's an output to serve us, to make our lives better, us more prosperous, us more secure. So, I can only say thank you to President Trump, and I'm in awe. No ambassador works as hard as the president.
No,
his team better be working hard like that,
me,
though.
I wasn't saying it like that. I was saying I feel like ambassadors have a little less of an ability to talk the smack that a politician would get to talk, whereas you have to be a little bit more prim and proper. Or am I wrong in that assumption?
Well, I think President Trump has kind of broken the mold. Most presidents have been pretty moderate in how they speak. He is a businessman who's had a long career. He just talks how he talks. But ambassadors get a lot of leeway in their country. They're probably the second most powerful person in the country after the president or prime minister of that country, because of the United States, not because of them. Has nothing to do with the person. It's about the power of our federal government. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. I always presumed that if you're wherever you are, that it's kind of like you don't want to step on toes, so you have to be just super, professional, right? And you can't, blow your top or Whereas I think, like you said, Trump broke the mold, and I think that's great that he did. I've often referred to President Trump as America's first talk radio president, right? Because I think if you were to get a talk radio host to become president, that they would say some of the things he says. He calls it like it is, and he's humorous, and he's entertaining, he's informative. Yeah. So whereas I think
funny,
as an ambassador,
right? He's funny.
He's very funny. I've
funny.
seen him do a couple of speeches that I thought were going to be like 20 minutes and ended up being like 2 or 3 hours, and it was like 2 or 3 hours of hard policy, 2 or 3 hours of politics, and 2 or 3 hours of stand-up comedy all together, right? So he's a force to be reckoned with. Ambassador Carla Sands, let everybody know how they keep up to speed with all the work you're doing at AFPI.
Oh, my gosh. Well, you can go to the AFPI website. It's americafirstpolicy.com. I'm pretty hot on Twitter and then a little bit on Instagram and Facebook, just a little. And I'm just delighted to be able to talk to your audience, Rich. It's great to be with you.
Oh, thank you. I love speaking with you. I love getting the insight that you bring to the table, and I'm looking forward to do it again soon. God bless.
Thanks. Bye.
You're welcome. And amigos, your thoughts, calls, reactions, all that coming up right now. Don't go anywhere.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdez. Call now, 833-4-VALDEZ. That's 833-482-5337. 833-4-VALDEZ. That's Valdez with an S.
Listen, I like your show. It's the best night show there is. I think you got the best spirit, the best emotions. You're real. You're really a good guy.
America at Night with Rich Valdez.
All right, amigos, welcome back. Rich Valdez keeping you company all night long. Oh, at least for another little bit. And phone number 833-482-5337, 833-4-VALDEZ. This is the part of the show where you guys get to weigh in and, talk about what we had talked about already and give me your opinion on it. Let's go to the phones. Let's see. Let's see who's been holding on the longest. Let's go. Hold on. I'm just checking the timestamps here to see what we got and where we got them. Let's go to right here. Tony, Montreal, Canada, listening by way of WVMT out of Vermont. Go right ahead.
Rich, how you doing? One of the things that bothers me the most is the continual attack on Christians in the world. Christians in Canada, I believe the last statistics I heard, 600 churches in Canada were either burned or taken over. I don't know the exact one, but a huge number of churches. And our government, the Carney government, says nothing. Our government sent $1 billion to Nigeria and sent $1 billion to Afghanistan. The only true leader on the planet standing for Christians, including that the papacy in Rome said nothing, is Donald Trump. He's the only person who's standing for Christians. He's standing for Christians not only in Syria that are being slaughtered, the Coptic Christians that are being slaughtered in Egypt, but Nigeria. And anybody that's an apologist that says this is the goat farmers versus the carrot farmers, and it's not political and it's not religious, is a person that is an apologist, but is what I call an Islamofascist. An Islamofascist to me is an apologist and a jihadist. And Rich, you've mentioned many times that you're a Christian, that you have been a person that spread the word not only around regular people, but in prisons. You were a chaplain. I'm a Christian. I'm a Catholic. You know, many Italians are Catholics. We believe in the Bible. And if anybody does any study of Muhammad and his sayings, he speaks of maiming Christians. He labels them infidels. He asks for them to be killed, maimed, slaughtered, attacked, etc. And if anybody doesn't understand, and I understand that you have 6 million Americans listening to you tonight, and if they hear my voice, and if Mr. Trump, who said that he listens, I tweeted out on my account, Timber Tony Tells the Truth, Donald S. Trump, please save the Christians in Nigeria.
Well, I think he might have heard you, Tony, because he's taken a tough posture on this, and thank God that he did. Tony, thanks for your call, brother. I appreciate it. Amigos, we continue straight ahead.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdez.
All right, to the phones we go. Let us speak with Larry, calling us from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, WRNN. Go right ahead, quickly. Larry.
Yeah, that is class. What you're doing is standing by Sliwa. That's very classy of you, Rick. Yeah, and whoever's running the shows, the biggest win is if Mandani wins. Because they're banking on it's going to be a big exodus, and they're going to be able to buy all that cheap real estate.
Yeah, I think there's somebody making a plan like that somewhere, because that's the only explanation I think that anybody could come up with is, we want to see this stuff fall so that we can get a fire sale. But it's anybody's guess. Larry, thanks for the call and for the compliment. I appreciate it. Let's go here to Leo, calling us from Winchester, Virginia. Leo, very quickly.
Yeah, Abigail Spam Burger. She's a Democrat trying to sell us a Spam burger instead of a steak burger. She's trying to force us to pay higher taxes and gasoline and her competition win some shares. She wants to win some for us. She's trying to get us to be able to not have to pay any property tax on our vehicles. So
that's a great plan.
And keep the energy prices down. She doesn't want the nonsense of girls having to compete with boys and having to deal with boys and their nudity in our
and I think a big part of what Lieutenant Governor Earl Sears brings to the table is the fact that she's been there and has this experience of serving in the State House alongside the governor and can bring that, day one experience to the table, hit the ground running. Leo, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Godspeed to you. Let's see. Jason, Dallas, Texas, KLIF. Quickly, speed round. Go for it.
Hey, thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk on your platform. The Democrats, man, I guess this is the plan for no voter ID and, open borders is that these immigrants will then eventually vote for Democrats. But, I think that plan, that grand scheme is going to be a failure because everybody coming in is pretty super religious and pretty super strict.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think when you bank on Hispanics going toward the left, it's a coin toss, but quite culturally very, very conservative, most Hispanics, and usually very Catholic, Christian, Protestant, all of the above. Jason, KLIF, thank you guys. Amigos, coming right back. Rich Valdez, don't go anywhere.
Live from the city that never sleeps. 17 miles from Madison Square Garden, New York City. It's America at Night with Rich Valdez, America's favorite late night talk program, featuring interesting guests from around the world and calls from across America. And now, here is your host, Rich Valdez.
Hi there, good evening, and what's up, America? I am Rich Valdez. Happy Monday. Welcome to the program. We're back for another hour. It's 7 minutes past the top of the hour. If you want to get in on the late night national town hall conversation we're having right here, we are live, we are national. Here's the phone number, 833-482-5337, 833-4Valdez. And we're going to be talking about, of course, all the stuff that's going on. Right, there's a genocide against Christians that is being publicized and being brought to the mainstream by President Trump, calling it out, saying he will come in guns a-blazing if he has to, if they don't, play ball to put an end to the violence, which can't do anything but thank him for and applaud him for. You've got, that's it, hours to go, right? Hours to go before election starts. New York City, Virginia, New Jersey, and Jack Ciattarelli in a statistical tie on the polls here in Jersey. The last poll I saw on Friday, there's another poll that came out today, but I saw the poll I saw on Friday from Emerson College for New York City. That one had a 4-point difference between Sliwa and Cuomo, but yet Sliwa can't win. Sliwa can't win. There's no way he can win. A vote for Sliwa is a vote for blah, blah, blah. Fake, phony fraud. Even their own polls can't hide the momentum that's going on. And listen, I'm not guaranteeing a win for anybody, right? It's an election. People are going to vote. People are going to decide. What if it rains tomorrow, right? That's always a factor. Some people, rain deters them. Long lines deter people, right? If there's big turnout, there's been huge turnout in early voting. 735,000 people coming out to vote. So if that is the case, and people, get out of work late, and there might be a line, polls close at 8 p.m., they don't want to wait in line. Some people might say, you know what, screw it. Who do you think is more committed to seeing their guy win, right? That's what it boils down to. So, in my opinion, it's always anybody's game, and I stand by my prediction, which is unscientific, but based on my gut. Whatever your expectation of Curtis Sliwa is and his performance tomorrow, I truly, in my heart of hearts, believe he is going to outdo your expectation, whatever that may be. Do we see a Curtis Sliwa victory? Absolutely possible. Absolutely possible. And I'm looking forward to that. Should we not? We move forward in that direction too, right? Whatever that direction may be. Do I think Andrew Cuomo is the way to go? Absolutely not. Do I think Andrew Cuomo makes life incredibly worse for everyone? I do. In effect, you would have a person in Andrew Cuomo who stands for everything that Zoran Mamdani stands for. The only difference being he has a better relationship with the White House. So he may be able to finagle things better than Zoran might. However, if this is truly based on policy, what are we going to do? Right? So the only thing I could say, the difference between them, and it's not policy. I don't think there's any real difference in policy. I think Andrew Cuomo has a history, a legacy of being part of a political dynasty that he got to achieve, right? The highest echelon of it, being the governor in the state where his father was governor, and a well-respected and well-beloved governor. So he reached that level. But now guess what? He wanted more. He wanted to become president. He got ousted a couple of years shy of being in that third term there. So what happens? Well, I think what happens is he says, all right, I'll do this New York City thing. Why? Because he just needs to be in public life. He doesn't know any other thing. He needs it. And I get that. I really do. I don't agree, but I get it. Why? Because I need this, right? I need to talk to a microphone and to millions of people. I need it. I really do. It is part of the fabric of my being. I was telling somebody today, they're like, what do you like doing more, TV or radio? I was like, oh my gosh, hands down, radio. Hands down. This is the most electrifying thing that I think anybody could do. Talking to people in a very intimate, private way, right? I'm in a soundproof studio. You can't see me, but you feel the emotion, right? It activates parts of your brain that TV just won't do. It can't do, because you could see all the emotion. You don't have to feel it. Your brain doesn't have to figure it out. There's no theater of the mind. it just doesn't stimulate the same nerve centers of the brain. Anyway, before I get into a soliloquy on radio, I want to stick with the topic here. And the topic is Mamdani. Now, Mr. Mamdani, who I think is bad, and I think Cuomo's worse, in my opinion. Mr. Mamdani's in a little bit of hot water. He's being called to the carpet right now because it's alleged that his campaign has been coordinating with a political action committee, which is not legal. How much? Well, they're saying about $1.8 million in super PAC spending. At least that's what's according to the complaint. Now, one of his backers, a woman named Linda Sarsour, she was talking about this super PAC and about all the money that Zoran is bringing in. Listen to this.
Right now, I'm a little more quiet because I'm on the quiet side of this race. But I'm going to tell you that once November 4th comes around, I will tell the story. The story is not just that it's random that Zoran ascended to this place. It is our Muslim American communities. And I'll also say that it's Muslim money. The PACs that have supported Zoran, or a particular PAC that has supported Zoran, is probably over 80% of Muslim American donors in this country. High net donors, grassroots donors. And I want to make the point that the Unity and Justice Fund PAC, which is the CARE Super PAC, was the largest institutional donor to the pro-Zoran PAC in New York.
Again, that's Linda Sarsour. If you don't know who she is, Google her. You can label her however you want to label her. But this, I'm going to give you a little bit of what the New York Post is saying about this particular complaint, but I want to preface that with a statement. And it's a recommendation for your reading list. The book is called The Blueprint, and it talks about the four horsemen. This is the strategy that has been used by the Democrats for a very long time, the radical left. And a guy named Jared Polis in Colorado, right? Colorado was once a red state, and today it's very blue. And the way they did it, they spelled it out in a book called The Blueprint. It took them about 20 years, but each time they won more. And they started exactly like Zoran, state assembly seat. They ran for a state. So you keep running for the seat until you win it, right? And you figure out, you win it. But how did they do it? Jared Polis is gay, and he bankrolled his campaign not from the people per se in his state of Colorado. I'm sure, there's a gay community there too, but they appealed to gays across the country. And that's how they did it. And they were like, we're going to go for this assembly district. We're going to concentrate our money right here and get this guy elected. They did. Then he went to Congress, governor, U.S. Senate run, all sorts of things, right? This is what they did, and it worked. And they wrote a book about it called The Blueprint. And it's the story of Colorado and these donors, these mega donors, and Polis that they call the Four Horsemen. You need to read it because they tell you what they're doing. Zoran Mamdani, this book is 15 or 20 years old. Zoran Mamdani did the same exact thing. And she just admitted to it, saying, I'm not going to tell you this story because I'm on the quiet side. Nothing quiet about you, Linda Sarsour. You just told everybody what it was. She said that it's Muslim money that has propelled Zoran here, and it's no accident. Okay, granted, understood. So that means that there is a concerted effort to get Muslim candidates elected. And it's wealthy Muslims that are doing that. Now, again, that is not a crime, and that is not bad. I will always turn around and say, are there wealthy Christians asking Christian candidates to run? Because none of them have approached me. Not that I want to do it, but I would give you money. I would support such a thing. But that level of organizing isn't there. Right? Nobody's sending a pitch to this show saying, hey, we're a Christian PAC and we'd like to come on your show and talk about, what we do. I haven't received such a pitch. So they're doing something that we're not doing, and that is why they're achieving results that we're not achieving. Makes sense to me, right? Anyway, if you've ever walked around the city of New York, you've likely been through Times Square, and there's this tall white guy, long hair, wearing a cowboy hat, and that's it, a pair of tighty-whitey underwear and a guitar, and he calls himself the Naked Cowboy. Well, the Naked Cowboy is our guest, and he's coming up right now. Don't go anywhere.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdez. is America. This is Night. This is Rich Valdez.
What's up, America? Welcome back. It's Rich Valdez. Happy to be here with you tonight. And I want to get into this conversation about New York City and the election. The big day is tomorrow. And 735,000 people have cast their vote for mayor. This is the biggest turnout they've seen in early voting. Something like 80,000 of them were young people. 151,000 were under the age of 50. And the others are under the age of 35. So my question is this going to be the election of the century? Are people turning out to say, we don't want Zoran Mamdani, or are they turning out to say, we definitely want Curtis Sliwa? Our guest, if you've ever been to Times Square in New York City, you've seen this tall dude with a cowboy hat, a guitar, and by the way, he's naked. Naked Cowboy, welcome, brother.
Well, I'm the naked cowboy, keeping it real for you. I'm the naked cowboy. You gotta do what you gotta do. Hey, how you doing?
What's up, brother? So, Naked, while you're out there doing what you do, what's the vibe? I'm curious to see. This is the reporting that we have 735,000 people that came out in early voting. Yesterday was the last day of early voting. There's no early voting today. Tomorrow's the big day, the last day that people can vote. What say you?
Well, I'm going to vote tomorrow, and I think, from my point of view, conservative Republicans always just they're the ones that go and show up on the day and just make it happen. It's a badge of honor. You show up on the day, but I think all the other stuff becomes manipulative. So I think Curtis is going to win. I've been with him since. The second I heard it, I got my Curtis Sliwa stickers. And I've been singing his songs. I was I think I saw you at the Rockaway Republican something or other.
And the Dominicans in Washington Heights.
Okay, well, I keep seeing you, and I keep seeing Scott LeBedo and different, but it's it's been fun to sing a song. Are you ready to hear it or what?
Let's go.
I'd rather just put it in a song. Well, Curtis Sliwa for mayor of NYC. Mamdani's just a left-wing lunatic like AOC. Curtis stands with law enforcement. He'll be tough on crime. Mamdani supports no cash bail, sides with criminals all the time. Curtis respects hard work and responsibility. Mamdani is a socialist, thinks everything is free. Curtis knows that tax the rich chases tax dollars away. Mamdani, like most Democrats, ignores urban decay. We're finally through with Adams, another Democrat mistake. The last thing we need is a radical progressive from the Islamic State. Curtis Sliwa for mayor of NYC. Mamdani's just a left-wing lunatic like AOC.
So much truth, so much humor, so entertaining. What type of reception do you get when you're playing that in Times Square?
Men, women, and children of all ages love the Naked Cowboy.
Yeah, well, I know they love you, but they love the Curtis
song. You can't see the world except through a perceptual frame, and that's the frame with which I see it. So I literally see it that way. And, of course, I'm singing the songs, and it resonates with everybody. And, of course, I'm in New York City. I have Trump on my guitar as well, so it's a nonstop. Charlie Kirk is the Naked Cowboy. That's what I do. You go out in the public every day, initiate it's the exact same model, and you interact.
But like Charlie Kirk, he got a lot of hate. Are you getting any hate with your Curtis song?
I said men, women, and children of all ages love the Naked Cowboy.
It's great.
I'm sorry.
No
Tony Robbins made it happen.
It's all love.
Jordan B. Peterson made it confirmed. I get it.
Okay, so nobody's throwing eggs. Nobody's.
No, absolutely. The ones that walk by and say something, it's the F Trump, like the spontaneous, lack of hypothalamic response. Like you can't control your impulse. Or that could be Tourette's too, but that F Trump is very rare.
Yeah.
But when it comes through, it's literally just that quick in and out, and it's not affecting.
And that's been the vibe, and not just in this campaign. I feel like since I've known Curtis and I've been out in the streets with him for many different things, different events, it's always that. It's what you described. The men, women, and children of all ages love Curtis Sliwa.
Now, you know how my thumb hurts from liking the Curtis stuff, like on my face. You just got to like him, everything, And, once you hit it once, and I'm involved, so it's nonstop. Now it's like arthritic. No, I'm kidding. But the point is that he is who he is. I mean, come on, he's been in every community. It's what he does. To me, he's like me, but he's been doing it even longer and was actually established here and had a reason outside of me going to one particular location. Like the whole city is his domain, And you can see the genuine, dude, I see him. You look at a man in the eye, you see if he's a good guy, he's a great guy. So, and
yeah,
again, the whole Trump thing just taught me more than anything else. No matter all the media saying, with all this stuff stacked up against him, he still wins. You know what I mean? Like, you just can't believe anything.
Right, don't believe
you do what you do, and thank God people do what they should be doing instead of listening to all that and actually acting in opposition to that for the right reasons. And this is one of those reasons. What
do you think about that?
It seems like all I've heard is that it's not possible, but it wouldn't surprise me at all to hear overwhelming numbers and Curtis wins. It just wouldn't. I want it to surprise me, but it wouldn't.
Right. Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat, only because they told me Trump couldn't win. They told me Hillary was going to win by 30-something points. They told me Mamdani was going to lose by 40 points to Cuomo in the primary, and Mamdani won against Cuomo. So I feel like a lot of the polls, a lot of the numbers, a lot of people that are supposed to get it right, they get it wrong.
I think everything in the media is driven to create anxiety, negative emotion. Again, that's all how they sell. You got to keep you worried. What if this happens? That's what media is. You can't even fault them. That's what their job is. But you can't get sucked up in it and believe it to the point where you're, again, that's what it's there for, is to discourage you from voting. You don't have a chance.
Right.
Like Sid Rosenberg. I love Sid Rosenberg, but he turned into Adrian when she was saying against the Russian, you can't win, Rock. You can't win, Rock. But Rock did win. So
you gotta become Mickey. Mickey loves ya. You can do it, Rocco. Folks, we're on with the Naked Cowboy. You've seen him in Times Square. He's an amazing entertainer. He's with us now. We're going to come right back and find out what the impact will be like should things go the other way. A Mamdani mayoralty sounds dangerous to me. Don't go anywhere.
Now, 833-4-VALDEZ. That's 833-482-5337. 833-4-VALDEZ. That's Valdez with an S.
All right, America, welcome back. It's Rich Valdez with an S, and I'm here with the Naked Cowboy. Naked Cowboy, talk to me about you standing in Times Square naked with a guitar, armed with a guitar, in a city that right now under the control of the Adams administration, really, they say it's safer, but it doesn't really appear safer to me. What do you see?
Well, I say, tell me why everybody stand around looking at me like you never seen a man half naked strumming wild and free. Well, if you don't stop looking at me, I'm gonna bend your ass over my knee. You're gonna scream, holler, and swear as you get your ass kicked by a man in his underwear. What am I worried about? What's the problem?
Yeah, so no New Yorkers have concerns. They should just go with Mamdani, based on your philosophy.
No, I'm not saying that. Of course, we pray to God that Curtis Sliwa gets in there
But I'm
And
saying,
that-
would it be a difference? I see a difference on the street.
Now, obviously, you can take these things to any level of abstraction. Like I heard somebody, it wasn't Bill O'Reilly, but it was someone speaking to Bill O'Reilly on like that type of level discussion. He was saying, and I never even considered this. He goes, I'm just concerned that Mandami can come in there and actually make it a success. Like you've never heard that, right? It's like, well, what if he did make it a success? Then Newsom gets, emboldened, and it goes all over. What if that? I mean, the point is, when I heard it, I was like, never even thought of that. I'm saying you can take these levels of abstraction to any level. If Mandami comes in, right, I could see where, if he's letting people out of prison and, deteriorating to the New York City Police Department's ability to constrain law and order and making them subject to litigation and on and on and on. I mean, you can see just all that. The whole world's going to come to an end. Now, when the whole world came to an end and Biden got in there, the whole world did come to an end, right? For a while. I mean, it seemed like it was 4 years of misery, right? And now we're back. So, like I said, how's it going to affect us? I think it'll be negative. I think that most people don't want it, and I hope it doesn't happen. But still, it supports the Republican Party. Now we're going to see an example of these crazy,
Tell me about right now, though. Are you happy with the state of New York City right now?
I love my life. Everything's perfect. I have no problems whatsoever.
So
traffic's annoying.
Did you vote for Eric Adams?
No, absolutely not.
Well, why not then? I'm trying to find out.
Again,
how is everything so good if Eric Adams is so bad?
I'm a conscientious person. I'm for law and order. I'm for borders. I'm borders, language, and cultures 100%. I'm a very strict, organized person. I do the exact same thing every day for 26 years, 11 months, 18 days in a row in Times Square without missing one single day the entire time. I'm an organized person.
Well, give me an organized answer to that question.
What's that?
The question is, how are things impacting you in the Adams administration?
Well, I mean, I think I have to make $78 before I get my first dollar. I got 16 in, 16 out, 9 congestion pricing, 25, and that's comped parking, $20 tip. I mean, it's like $100 before I make it. And again, I'm not really there trying to make dollars. I mean, my thing's much more expansive. We have major endorsements. I get checks in the mail from companies from all over the world. I'm substantially rich and rocking and don't even need what I have and only want to do what I'm doing. So again, I'm impervious to that because I'm a true-hearted American who's living off my own 100% skills and ingenuity, and that's what you can do here.
Yeah.
Everybody else going to make an excuse. It's because of Mom Dami's going to ruin my life or Curtis going to save my life. I think one would be better than the other, but I'm impervious to that stuff. And everyone should be.
Well, if everybody was, nobody would vote.
They wouldn't even need to. We'd have a self-sustaining system where everybody just did the right crap every single day. We wouldn't need a system. Like I said, when the state exists, as Emerson, the state exists to create the gentleman or the right man. And when the right man appears, the state is no longer necessary. So everyone's looking for an excuse, a cop-out, what's going to go wrong, what's going to go right. That's the media. Right?
Well, but it's a reality that we have a civic duty to vote.
It's an existential reality that all human beings are talk and everything else, and we have the one skill that animals don't, deception, and we're able to just have fun all day long playing our little schemes and games. I mean, we can do that, and we do that, and we find honorable ways, and hopefully, again, I think if you go back to the traditions, the Bible, the narratives that have created us for 4 billion years, our evolution, that we act. We can have all kinds of abstract new ideas, communism, socialism, all these kind of things, but we are instinctively moral, and, we know what to do.
What's the likelihood of that happening? This utopia you're describing?
I'm not describing a utopia. I mean, that's
sounds like one to me.
That's what
you see, I don't see.
Well, what totalitarianism does is project a utopia. I think that if people are just... again, we need society, but I'm saying good, strong-hearted, responsible people who want to get along in a communal atmosphere, which we all have to do and have done since we were monkeys and trees.
You get people that don't do that, and then you have to lock them up. And you got one guy that says, I'm going to lock him up, and another guy that says, I'm going to let him out.
Well, again, diversion from that ideal is the criminal element. And yes, that's what government's there to divide that and try to find negotiable rules.
Right.
Where again, law, and that's why we want law and order, more of that than less of it. That's why you'd want want Curtis over letting the prisoners out and all this kind of politically correct kind of, every single thing is based on some kind of racist or systematic racist thing that's going on. It's just kind of holding the criminals who incidentally happen to be majority black down, and on and on and on. I mean, these are all numbers and ratios. And
did you see a change in the numbers and ratios from de Blasio to Adams, or does it look the same?
I don't know if I pay that much attention. I mean, I listen to the news every day. I'm listening to Brian Kilmeade again, but when, how do you say that?
In the 8 years of de Blasio, did you see a shootout in Times Square? Because I didn't.
I saw one. I mean, several have happened, maybe 2 or 3, but that's not like a shoot. I mean, again, somebody shoots a gun, I guess it's a shootout, but compared to, somebody punching somebody.
I gotta get me one of them hats.
Compared to people punching each other in the face and knocking them out and everything else, a gunfire, it's like, okay, he had a gun,
Well, now talk to us about the Naked Cowboy empire. If people want to find out more about Naked Cowboy, I know you have a bunch of products that you have, don't you have a line of wine or a bunch of different things going on?
I trademarked the name, I don't know, in 2000 or something, so it's been trademarked for a long time. I've done this. I have the #1 selling oyster in the country, Naked Cowboy oysters, are from the Blue Island Oyster Company. Chris Cortusio, my manager, is Todd Mark Rubenstein. He runs Naked Cowboy Enterprises. So anyway, we've licensed products, and we've been doing the same thing for years. I mean, it's just routine A-list actor activity. Commercials, TV, everything I've been doing. I know. I've done it all on some level.
They've tried to get at you. I know the M&M people tried to infringe on your copyright, and you sued them, and you won. Have you had any more legal action?
I've had several incidents similar to that. We just had the Sour Patch Kids did something similar to that. Maybe it wasn't last year, the year before, and the same exact thing. They had but my attorney, John Phillips, he represents the Lion King. Either way, I think we got $120,000 or something for that. I mean, and these things happen. I got arrested in Daytona, $90,000 for wrongful arrest, and the rest of, Don't mess with the Naked Cowboy. Did I already sing the song?
Let me hear it.
The homophobes say I'm a queer, but I like chicks and beer. Everywhere I swing my ass in my cowboy gear. Wait, this is conservative radio. You're Latino. Let's do a Latino song,
Yeah,
right?
let's hear it.
Hi, yeah, yeah, yeah. Come on. Come on.
I love it.
Porque cantando se alegran cielito lindo los calzoncillos.
Naked Cowboy, a lot of people don't know that the Naked Cowgirl is your wife.
And she's Mexican. That's why I sang the Mexican.
That's how you figured it out. I saw your pictures in Mexico. How was your reception in Mexico?
They love me, even with my Trump guitar.
Look at that.
Actually, I related that story to people in Times Square later with her and saying they didn't even care what I said, about Trump, and they liked it. And she said, no, they just didn't understand you.
That's funny. Well, Naked Cowboy, let everybody know how they can learn more about your brand and how they can book you and everything else that you do. Where do they go?
Look, I'm in Times Square every single day, 11 to 5, 26 years, 11 months, 18 days in a row. I'm online. I mean, I'm on Instagram, on everything. Like anybody, it's Naked Cowboy or The Naked Cowboy. I'm on Cameo. That's like $150,000 a year business now with $50 cameos just nonstop all day long. That's been really cool, a new addition. And Naked Cowboy oysters can only be found at the bottom of the Long Island Sound. They're plump and delicious. They live with the fishes. They'll help you with the Take it from me. Aphrodisiacs. Naked Cowboy oysters can only be found at the bottom of the Long Island Sound.
Naked Cowboy, I want to thank you for being here today. Keep up the great work. Keep doing what you're doing, and make sure you get that vote out for Curtis Sliwa. We'll be right back.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdez. Call now, 833-4-VALDEZ. That's 833-482-5787. 5337 833 4Valdez. That's Valdez with an S.
Rich, I'm honored, man, to be able to have a voice on your platform. There's probably 140,000 federal inmates that listen to you at night.
America at Night with Rich Valdez.
Earlier today, President Trump letting it be known who he is supporting for the mayoral race, endorsing Andrew Cuomo and saying this about Mamdani. President Trump writes on Truth Social that if communist candidate Zohran Mamdani wins the election for mayor of New York City, it is highly unlikely that I will be contributing federal funds other than the very minimum as required to my beloved first home, because of the fact that as a communist, this once great city has zero chance of success or even survival. It can only get worse with a communist at the helm, and I don't want to send, as president, good money after bad. It is my obligation to run the nation, and it is my strong conviction that New York City will be a complete and total economic and social disaster should Mamdani win. His principles have been tested for over 1,000 years, and never once have they been successful. I would much rather see a Democrat who has had a record of success win than a communist with no experience and a record of complete and total failure. He was nothing as an assemblyman, ranked at the bottom of the class, and as mayor of potentially, again, the greatest city in the world, he has no chance to bring it back to its former glory.
So that is, again, a report on what's going on with President Trump and his support for what he believes is the lesser of two evils. Of course, I have a different perspective on this race, and it's that Republicans need to stick with the Republican candidate. And it's not about partisanship, from my opinion. It's about really just the best candidate. All right, everything has an order, and everybody who wants to come against Curtis right now, they all had an opportunity to run against him, to try and bribe him as they've done, all sorts of things, right, earlier on. But they didn't take that opportunity, right? They let him run unopposed in a primary, and that's on them to come in as a Johnny-come-lately. And in particular, I'm talking about Andrew Cuomo, who ran against Zohran Mamdani and lost by 13 points, and then decided to wait a while and then say, you know what, I'm going to come back as an independent. And while that's okay, you know, it's his right to do it. It's just, don't go and tell Curtis that he's got to drop out. Don't try and hold this over Curtis's head that, you know, somehow he is singularly responsible for anything like that. None of the above. Curtis did everything the right way. A year ago, he was filling out petitions, announcing his candidacy, let everybody know, hey, I'm running. You want to run against me? Go right ahead. They didn't. Last time he ran once before, only once before. And in that, in 2021, and when he ran in 2021, he had 4 opponents. I think he was the 5th in that field. And he beat all 4, and he won. So I say all of that to say, this is an election, right? This is not about the existence of life. I think that we've allowed demagoguery to take over. And when people say, "Oh, but you're going to have radical Islamists, you know, praying in the streets," and that's happening right now, sir. That's happening under Eric Adams. That's happening under Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo, who signed the law that created the sanctuary state of New York in 2017. Andrew Cuomo, who signed the no cash bail law. Andrew Cuomo, who agreed with the idea of taking away qualified immunity from NYPD. This is why cops are leaving in droves. They don't want to do their job because they're not able to do their job, because they're not protected by the city that they have sworn to protect. So you tell me how Andrew Cuomo is going to benefit this city, but for taking a reaming from President Trump, right? That's the only way. The only way is if President Trump shoves his foot so far up Mr. Cuomo's rear end that He's forced to do whatever he's kicked to do, because on his own, we know exactly what he'll do. We know exactly who he is. And in my opinion, he's more dangerous than Zoran Mamdani. Let us go to your calls. Let's go to Michael calling us from the West Coast, Pendleton, Oregon, KUMA in the building. Go right ahead.
Hey, Rich, I had a chance to call in, and great to talk to you again. And of course, about my connection to the greatest city in the world, New York City, where my mom was from. I have several relatives there. I would love to visit back there and go to pizza with you sometime.
I would love it.
I would love that, Rich, and I bet you know some great pizza places back there.
Oh yeah, listen, there's a lot of them in the city. There really is, and I'm looking forward to it. And that's for any of our listeners. If you guys are ever in the city and you wanna hang out, and I'm able to do it, I'm happy to do it. I would love to do it. I'll even give you a tour of the studio right next to the World Trade Center. It's an amazing view of the Statue of Liberty. Matter of fact, quick shout out for Naked Cowboy. He posted some video from his visit to the studio, and it's on Twitter and Instagram. So if you want to take a look at his experience coming into the studio, you can go ahead and do that. But Michael, I would love that, and thank you for your thoughts. Thank you for your kind words about the show, and of course about Curtis Sliwa as well. I appreciate it. Let's take a pause right here, and then we'll come right back.
This is America at Night with Rich Valdez.
All right, amigos, to the phones we go. Let us go to Walter calling us from St. Augustine, Florida, WFOY. Walter, quickly, speed round. Go for it.
Yeah, Rich, mañana es un grande día para nuestro amigo Curtis.
Oh, big day. That's the truth.
Yeah, relating Curtis's situation to a Bible scripture from Jesus. He who humbles himself will be exalted. That's Curtis. He who exalts himself will be humbled. That's Mandami. I saw Curtis's apartment on YouTube and the cats and all, and I'd like to see him living in Gracie Mansion and making this scripture come true.
Amen. I love that, Walter. Thank you for the call. Shout out to WFOY, by the way. Great station. And let's see. We got time for a little bit more. Let's go. Thomas, Ottumwa, Iowa, KBIZ. Go right ahead.
Hi there. Yeah, last week you were going to play. I tuned in on the beginning of your show.
The Paul Harvey clip. Yes, I promise I will get to that. It's just we've been bombarded with news from the election, but thank you, Thomas, for the reminder. I appreciate it. And I just want to give a shout out to our favorite liberal from San Francisco, David, listening on KSFO, and our buddy Paul, who's streaming the show tonight, asking how many Christians in Nigeria are black. Well, I can tell you, Paul, from the video that I've seen, I don't know the number, but I have not seen any white people in any of the videos that are coming out of Nigeria. All of the Christians being burned and murdered are black by black Muslims that are Islamist terrorists known as Boko Haram and offshoots thereof. All right, amigos, that's it for me. Hasta la próxima. Take care. Good night. And God bless you, America. I'm Rich Valdez.